Do
sorry.
do 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 do. I know we always do that. Welcome back, everyone. My name's Aaron Hunter. I'm a senior technical trainer with AWS training certification. This is another AWS on air. My buddy here, Kyle, he's on this side of me now.
Hello, I'm keeping you on your toes. I am Kyle Dickinson, a senior threat detection and incident response solution architect here in North America, and we are joined today with our new
With our
friend.
buddy, yeah, with our friend from the DynamoDB
New
team here
friend,
to
who are
talk.
you?
New friend, introduce yourself. Go for it.
Hey guys, hey everyone. My name is Shazib Farouk. I am a product manager at DynamoDB.
And here you're here to talk to us about S3 import. That is a very, very big launch. I know in the trainer world, we got super ecstatic about how this is going to dynamically change our customers' ability to import data into a DynamoDB table. So can you tell us more about that?
First, can you
Yeah,
just, for those that aren't familiar with DynamoDB, what is a DynamoDB?
yeah, of course. So DynamoDB is a NoSQL key value store database, which is built for low latency, high throughput applications. It's completely serverless, so AWS DynamoDB manages all the infrastructure and allows you to just focus on building applications.
That's very impressive. And this new feature that you're going to be telling us about today.
Yeah. So we're very excited to announce this. This has been one of the top asks from our customers, which is the ability to bulk import data directly from Amazon S3 into your DynamoDB tables. So we launched this feature last month, and it allows you to be able to easily import data that is sitting in your S3 bucket, or it's any other S3 bucket in a different account or a different region, directly into DynamoDB without having to write any code, set up any ETL jobs, and it makes it very simple for you to get started on the DynamoDB experience.
I have a question. I heard you say something. You said an S3 bucket in a different region. So I don't have to have my S3 bucket in the same region?
Yes, so as long as you have permissions to read from the S3 bucket, it can be in a different account, different region. One of the key things that it enables customers, and we've heard this as part of our feedback as well, is you can use this feature in combination with the export feature today to move tables from one region, one account to a different region, different account.
Now, you mentioned also that this has been a highly requested feature for customers to be able to bulk import data. What are some of those, maybe just like one or two use cases where a customer has wanted to take bulk information or bulk data and then import it into DynamoDB?
Yeah, so I think one of the most common use cases that we heard about was data migration. Customers want a quick and easy way for them to be able to move their data from an existing database. And most of the times, people are sometimes moving from the relational databases. They want an easy way to be able to export that data out. They have that data sitting in S3. They want to now migrate all of that into DynamoDB. This feature makes that process much more simpler, much more cost effective. And also, like, a lot of customers also want to when getting started with DynamoDB, and I think Aaron, you mentioned in the training world, this has been an exciting launch, is people just want to load some test data, try out DynamoDB, and a quick and easy way of doing this is just importing it directly from S3.
Yeah, I teach a lot of classes, and when I teach classes, all of my students who are essentially AWS customers are like, "Oh man, I wish I had a faster, better way to import my data into Amazon S3." And we're like, "You know what? We do now." So really,
Yeah.
really positive from like a direct customer standpoint. So really cool. Congrats on the launch. It's impressive.
Yeah. And I think one of the great things about this feature is that, because it's fully managed by DynamoDB, the import process. So you, as a customer, you don't have to worry about any capacity that is being utilized on your table. So a new table is created as part of the import process, and you don't have to worry about, WCUs, which is write capacity units, being consumed as part of the import process.
Because again, DynamoDB is serverless and mostly managed by AWS.
Yes.
So how would you track the progress of your bulk import? You know, because I'm a big fan of just staring at status bars and hitting refresh, thinking it's going to do something faster and better.
Yeah.
But if
Um,
someone was, you know, actually realistic and wanted to monitor the progress, but or also even get notified that their import has completed in a more effective manner than watching it like I
yeah.
would want to.
So the import process now, we do log all the events in CloudWatch. So,
Okay.
people are familiar with using CloudWatch. You will get all the events there. You will get all the error messages that are being logged. In the DynamoDB console, we also surface, which I'm going to show in the demo as well, is the import status page. So you can, once
Ooh.
an import is underway, it'll show you all the details for what the import is going on. And once it completes, it'll give you, a notification. Usually, when people are importing large amounts of data, you wouldn't like, this is not a very quick process. It takes a little while based on how much data you're loading. So you wouldn't want to sit around just staring at the status. It's more of like one of those things you kick
Well,
off.
fine.
You'll be getting the logs for all as the process proceeds, and then you can once it's done, you'll see all the data in your table.
So you mentioned my favorite word, demo. Do you have a demo for us? Of course you have a demo for
Yes,
us.
of
Why wouldn't you
course.
have a demo for us? Are you ready to show us this demo? Because I want to dive in because this,
Yeah.
again, Aaron mentioned, huge thing in the training world. I really want to see how we can monitor progress because status bars are all the rage for me. But show us the demo.
All right.
Show us
So
the demo. Sorry, I had to do that.
okay. So for the demo, what I'm going to use is a sample file, which is a CSV file, since we all love CSV files.
No, we
Um,
don't.
so DynamoDB import actually supports 3 different file formats. It's DynamoDB JSON, Amazon Ion, and CSV. Um, what I'll demo today is how to import something which is a sample data set of the stock market. So just looking at the sample data set here, one thing to just make sure before you're importing is to understand what are the different keys that you're going to be the primary key that you want to define on your DynamoDB table, which has to be a unique key, so that the way that the data is partitioned in DynamoDB, it kind of associates each one of those partitions based on your key.
And in this instance, the key is the first row there with the name, date, open, high,
Yeah.
low,
So
etc.
so because this key is not unique right now, what we would define is a primary key as well as a sort key. So that kind of sets up the uniqueness as a composite key for this table. So I'll get to that in just a second. So I just wanted to make
Is
sure that,
case sensitivity a thing, or will it all lower or all upper the key that you have
yeah.
to kind of avoid having multiple keys, but a varying camel casing, I suppose?
So it is case sensitive
Okay,
because DynamoDB supports your attribute names to with the same attribute name. But
okay,
when we're importing, we have to make sure that you are defining the key as it appears in the file that you're importing.
got it.
So I'm gonna go to the DynamoDB management console, and on the console you see import from S3 as a new feature on the left. Um, Once you click on that, you see this large orange button that says import from S3. You click on that. Now you're gonna walk through the steps of starting the import. So the first step is obviously to tell us where your source file is. So in this case, I've already uploaded a source file into my S3 bucket. I'm going to go ahead and pick that file. You can also pick the entire S3 bucket. So if you have like hundreds of files sitting within that bucket, you don't have to go and import each one of them. You can just select the top level bucket, and we would import all the files within that.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
Once you
so it
define
also
that,
looks like it supports if your files were compressed too.
correct? Yes.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
so once you define that, because I am the bucket owner, I don't have to do this. But if I was doing this across account, I would click on this and I would give the account ID, just making sure that I would have the privileges to read from that. Um, we do support compression, so because my file is not compressed, I don't have to select this. But if your files in the S3 bucket were compressed, you can use any of these options. CSV is the file format. And you have a couple of options because of CSV. Now, you can either use the first line as the header, which we saw in the file. We actually do have headers over there. So we can just use this option. You also have the option to just define headers. So you can just put comma separated values for all the headers. And in that case, DynamoDB will use that as the attribute names. You have an option to select which delimiter. So this is a comma separated file. Click on next. So as part of the import, we create a new DynamoDB table in which you will be importing all your entire file. So let me just give this a stocks AWS, a unique table name. Now, partition key, this is where the key comes in. So the partition key has to be case sensitive, and it has to match exactly the value that you have in your CSV file.
Could you show us the partition key that was in the CSV just to kind of like map up?
Yeah.
I'm a super visual. Okay.
I was also wondering about that too. It was like
Yeah.
the partition key and the CSV, because we love CSV so much.
Yeah. So I'm using name as the partition key here.
Okay.
Now, because name is not unique, I also want to give a sort key. So I'm going to use date as the sort key. So a combination of these two keys will give me unique rows in my data.
Okay.
Sort key is obviously optional. So, if your data is not something that you really want a sort key for, you don't need to input that.
Got it.
Then you go on to the table settings. So these are the table settings for the new table that is going to be created. You can either just go with default. You can always change these settings once the table is created, or you can customize the settings here. Obviously, DynamoDB runs on two different modes. So there's an on-demand mode and provision mode. You can set your capacity modes here if you want to just do an on-demand mode, which means that you don't have to figure out how much capacity units I need. It'll just scale up and down based on however much traffic it's seeing.
And that was the one that so if you were to use on demand, that's where you said the write capacity units will scale. But if you did provisioned, is that potentially going to throttle your write capacity units if you don't provision it correctly?
So that would have happened if this feature was not there.
Okay.
Traditionally, that's an issue that customers run into. But with this import feature, the only reason why we're setting these values here is because we're defining a new table. The import is not actually going to use any of this capacity.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah. So the WCU isn't impacted if you're doing it through the tool itself or through this feature, because it's integrated directly within the feature itself. That's actually really cool, because I know in the past, a lot of our customers had to create these really creative ETL or extract, transform, load jobs, and then like send the data into like a Hadoop cluster and then put it back into DynamoDB from S3. Like, this is simplifying so many customers' processes.
Exactly. And, I'll just go with default. That's even simplifying it further. So with the default option, you click on next. It'll give you a rundown of all the details of your import. Click on import, and there you go.
There's their status bar.
There you go.
Sorry.
So you can go over here clicking refresh.
You can go into the status details, right? So for each import. Now, obviously the import times vary. It may take a little while. So I already have an import similar to this that I did a little while ago. So once the import is done, you can see the status of the import here on this page. Status completed, how many items were imported into your DynamoDB, what was the table size. And the important thing here is that it shows you where it logged everything. So I'm going to click on my CloudWatch logs so that I can see all the logs that were part of the import process are going to be logged within one CloudWatch log group, which is created, which is under the import log folder. Let me show you. So when you go to CloudWatch, you'll see the log groups. There's an AWS DynamoDB imports log group. All of the import related messages are actually going to get logged into CloudWatch here. So you can take a look at, your import that was recently done, you'll see any error messages that would have occurred in CloudWatch.
And so from here, if you were doing like a ton of imports, you could create, some sort of notification through CloudWatch events and EventBridge and all the other things that CloudWatch can feed into. So you can get the status, pretty much pushed to you if you were doing like massive amount of imports.
Correct. Yes. Integration directly with CloudWatch gives you all the features that CloudWatch has. So, with this, you can kind of configure any of those depending on your use cases.
Cool.
And then real quick, just want to show you, the table that is currently importing. So you would see that table here as creating. I did the import earlier, so I'll just kind of show you a table that was imported a while ago. And you can explore the items in the table. Just take a look. And there you go. You have a sample set that shows up on my screen for all the data that was in the CSV.
That's really cool. So for anyone who's just getting started on this, where should they go to learn more?
So we have our DynamoDB AWS documentation, which details out all the steps. We also have a very useful blog, which talks about how to do the imports and the cost savings that come with this new feature. So
I'm sure that that blog will be posted somewhere.
Yes, we have it as part of one of the links.
Cool. We'll make sure that link gets out to the chat for each and every single one of you. Speaking of links, we also have a survey link. So make sure to fill out that survey. It takes just a few minutes. And then the first 50 respondents get an Amazon or an AWS credit for their account. So thank you so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Amazing demo, amazing work with the product launch, simplifying our customers' workloads and processes. And congrats again on the amazing work from your team.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Super awesome.